Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, sometimes the biggest headlines, especially involving high-profile figures, are just a sliver of a much larger story. Today, we're cutting through the noise of what might seem like celebrity gossip to reveal, well, a fascinating look at legal strategy, personal boundaries, and the incredibly long tail of very public split.
Exactly. We're going to dissect the latest turn in one of Hollywood's most protracted legal battles. Our focus is an article from Global News, published July 10th, 2025, titled Brad Pitt Requests Angelina Jolie's Private Messages Amid Bitter Legal Battle. Our mission, really, is to understand precisely what Pitt is seeking, why these messages matter in the context of their ongoing dispute over a French winery, and what it all reveals about the intricate intersection of personal history and, high-stakes business.
Okay, let's unpack this core dispute because it's been a long time coming. At the center of it all is Chateau Miraval, that beautiful French winery Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie once owned together.
That's right. The specific legal battle we're digging into here stems from a lawsuit Pitt filed back in 2022. He sued Jolie following her sale of her half of Chateau Miraval to Tanut Delo, which is the wine division of the Stoli Group.
And Pitt's stance on this sale was pretty strong, wasn't it? More than just business.
Absolutely. According to the court documents, Pitt had actually wanted to buy Jolie's half himself, claiming she abandoned negotiations. He alleged that she made the sale without his consent and that it ruined a private space that had been a second home. He specifically called Jolie's move vindictive and unlawful. So yeah, this isn't just a business disagreement. It's deeply personal for him.
That personal angle seems key here. How often does that happen in these kinds of disputes? Where it's business on paper, but really something else?
All the time, especially with shared assets like this. They're not just line items on a balance sheet, are they? They're tied up with memories, family history, emotion. It makes things incredibly complicated. Negotiation gets tougher because it feels like a personal attack, not just a financial one.
Right. So that's Pitt's side of why he filed the lawsuit. But like you said, there's always another side. And Jolie's response, well, it paints a very different picture.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is how Jolie countered Pitt's lawsuit in September 2022. She claimed that the discussions over the sale of her share of the winery actually broke down because Pitt insisted she sign, get this, a non-disclosure agreement that would have contractually prohibited her from speaking outside of court about Pitt's physical and emotional abuse of her and their children.
Wow. So the NDA was the sticking point for her.
According to her filing, yes. That alleged abuse connects back to the initial divorce filing, too.
Right, it does. This isn't a new claim, is it? It goes back to 2016.
Precisely. Jolie filed for divorce then, following that private jet flight from Europe. That's when she first alleged Pitt physically abused her and their children. Now, the FBI and Child Services officials did investigate his actions on the flight. But 2 months later, the FBI released a statement saying it wouldn't investigate further. No charges were filed. Still, according to Jolie's counterclaim in this winery dispute, that history is directly tied to her decision-making about selling her share and why she refused that NDA.
It's incredible how something from years ago, even something investigated and closed officially, can become like central legal ammunition in a business fight later on.
It really speaks to how entangled these things get, doesn't it? Especially when it plays out so publicly. The past isn't just the past. It becomes, evidence, leverage.
Which brings us right up to the very latest move, June 30th, 2025. Pitt is now seeking something very specific in this ongoing battle.
Yes. Pitt filed new court documents. He's seeking to depose Alexei Olinik, who works for the Stoli Group. And maybe more importantly, he is requesting that Olinik turn over relevant documents, including any messages with Jolie and her team pertaining to the sale of the winery.
Messages between Jolie and the buyer.
Exactly. Now, Olinik has refused so far. He stated he couldn't be forced to do so as a resident of Switzerland.
Okay, so there's a jurisdictional issue there, perhaps. But what's Pitt's argument for needing these specific messages? Why are they vital?
Well, Pitt's legal team wrote in their filing that these requests go directly to key allegations about Pitt's objections to the sale. They also claim the requests easily meet the standard for discoverability.
Meaning they should be allowed access to them as evidence.
Right, because Pitt is alleging that Jolie acted with malice in selling to Stoli, specifically selling to a counterparty she knew Pitt opposed. They believe these messages will essentially prove her intent was malicious.
So if the judge in California agrees, Jolie's private messages could become evidence. That could be huge. A real game changer, potentially.
And stepping back, looking at the bigger picture, well, it's part of an incredibly long process. Remember, Jolie filed for divorce more than 8 years ago, back in 2016.
8 years. And, while their actual divorce settlement was finally reached in December 2024, which ended one of the longest Hollywood divorces we've seen, that agreement didn't actually touch this winery lawsuit. So this part continues.
It does. Jolie's lawyer, James Simon, put out a statement saying she and the children left all the properties they shared with Pitt. And since then, she's just been focused on finding peace and healing for their family. He even noted, frankly, Angelina is exhausted, but she is relieved this one part is over, referring to the main divorce.
Exhausted. That really hits home.
It shows how these things drag on,
Yeah.
It's not just about the couple. It affects their 6 children, too, who are now aged between, 16 and 23. It's a real look into the human cost, the complexities behind those splashy headlines.
Absolutely. So we've taken a deep dive into a very specific legal request for private messages, but doing that has really illuminated the intricate layers of this whole multi-year saga, from a winery sale to these deeply personal allegations and, frankly, some very clever legal maneuvering.
And this whole situation, it really raises an important question for all of us, I think.
In an era where so much of our lives are digital, what does the demand for private messages in legal context tell us about the future of privacy, even for the most public figures, when deeply personal and financial disputes collide?